Oh boy. Okay, so hold up a sec. Gotta make sure my settings are correct. And we're back. Just had to fix a couple of things. Minor, but still things to be fixed. You see, it's all the small things that matter, I suppose. Now to see if this is actually going to YouTube, because if it is, that is good. Oh, lo and behold, it is. Now I'm gonna go advertise it on the server. Alright, so that's taken care of. We'll just go ahead and vibe for a little bit before we start. See if any people will join in. Ah, someone was about to go to bed. Let's see if I can find the thing I was going to share about sleeping. Your mic sounds like a mic. Oh really? I thought it sounded more like a Steve. That's pretty funny. Now let's see, I'm trying to find that picture as something. And if you're confused about my mad ramblings, I'm just talking to myself because I'm trying to find some stuff. Aha. Someone was saying that they need to go to bed. There we are. Yeah. Just gonna vibe. See if anybody else shows up, because that's what streams are for. They're for getting that hit YouTube viewer engagement, am I right, gamers? Yeah. That's the stuff. I'm just gonna start a new game and play through from there, by the way. That's my plan. Yep. This absolute silence sure is viewer engagement, isn't it? Well, I guess I'll start. That way if anybody hops on, they won't think that I'm boring. Alright, let's get crackin'. Now the real question is, will it go full screen? I have absolutely no idea if it'll even work. Okay. I didn't test this beforehand. That's really funny. There we go. Got it. I'm playing on the latest released version right now. That's 2.1.2. And we're going to be starting a new game. But first, a couple of things I'd like to share. Got volume controls right here. Controls. These accessibility features have been a bit neglected, but they can be changed if necessary. What I mean is, colorblind mode should work, but I can't guarantee it. The background overlay should work just fine, but I can't guarantee it. And this should work fine because it just toggles the underwater effects for certain levels. And also, I've unlocked all the achievements because of course I have. It's my own game. These achievements will work on itch and Steam, so that's cool. Yo, LRRS trading cards? That would be dope. I would like that. Hold on a minute, I'm going to pull up chat on my phone so I can see it better. I don't have a second monitor to look at chat, so I'm just going to look at it on my phone. Because that's what you do here on YouTube. YouTube is telling me to go to bed, which is interesting. Never thought I'd be saying that. Let's see. Looks like we do not have any questions. Very well. Well, if anyone wants to ask a question, I will answer them all. Maybe. Unless you ask me something really personal, like if I'll swallow coins. Yes, I'll start a new game. And we are going to live on the edge and play on hard difficulty. This dialogue is oof. It's decent enough, but I could improve it. Also, I need to tweak the volume. Turns out it doesn't actually work. Okay, now this one's pretty cool. I made this before Among Us became popular, so yeah. And that's all the plot summary you'll need. I didn't really implement proper dialogue sounds for it, so I just kinda used what I had. And by it, I mean him. Man, I freaking misgendered an LRRS character. Well, not misgender so much as a lack of gender. Gender in LRRS. Now there's an article title. Reminds me of when Notch made that article about gender in Minecraft. That was actually a pretty good one. You should read it sometime. Maybe. Hey, it's better than Arm. He doesn't even have a voice in this. Let's see. Got this guy, we'll see later. This guy we'll see later. Overall, fairly vacant. What happens if you check the enemy logs with no enemy? Absolutely nothing. Game design. But yeah, the only thing you can really do at the moment is do this, which sends you to this tutorial. Which I've already seen, so I'll skip it. And really, here's a little secret. You don't really need the tutorial. Because the tutorial just tells you how to move and shoot, that's all. And if you know how to navigate and confirm menus, then you already know how to move and shoot. So it's not necessary. The reason I left the tutorial in is just to characterize the narrator a bit more. I do want him to seem like a guiding hand in this game, which will definitely come into play later. But yeah, as far as the difficulty modes go, really there's not much to them except for some minor differences. For one thing, enemies shoot faster sometimes. That's one of the significant changes. And for number 2, ooh, tutorials. Honestly, I couldn't think of a good way to tell that without those pop-ups. But it's something the player will have to learn anyway. It's important to learn how to graze, focus, and use your specials if you want to win. Win? Is that all this is? Just about winning or losing? But yeah, some enemies have their attack patterns tweaked. Overall, you have less invulnerability time in hard. And some levels just have new enemies in them altogether. Ooh, that was lucky. We got 2 power upgrades. So now we can just melt through everything. Very good. Maybe I can play through the whole game tonight. So many enemies and so many goodies. I really like the sound design that I did for picking up the charge orbs. Ooh. But yeah, another good reason to use your specials? You can pretty much invalidate the first phase of this boss, or the second one. Regardless of which one you choose, if you choose the first one, you'll have to deal with the desperation attack, because it'll just prevent it from dying. Game designer. I think this boss is a good introduction to boss fights. If you played the game for yourself, it might seem really hard, but like, as you saw, I made it look pretty trivial. But that's because I made the game. It doesn't count if you make it. I'm not going to return to the HQ until I have to. This level also seems to be a, kind of a block for people, which I understand. It's got a lot of tight, intricate things, and I made this intentionally, because I made this level to help test players' ability to maneuver through tight spaces. Lots of enemies and things that you have to be in the right position for. I designed these levels with intent and design. That means I'm a good game designer trademark, right? I don't mean to sound pretentious, I'm just saying. When I was making these levels, I didn't really think that deeply into it, I kinda just did. All this stuff I learned about came later on. Whoa. Man, these turrets are tough. I feel like they have more iframes. Ook. If I can just get to the checkpoint, I think we'll be... Oh, I do have the checkpoint. Actually, getting close to the end of the level. So that's good. Yep, this one final section is the last one. Just one final thing. As long as you stay... this one's the hardest. You absolutely do not want to touch the asteroids. I don't remember if they kill you or not. Oh yeah, you can actually destroy them if you deal enough damage. Of course, doing such a thing is hard to do unless you have a lot of attack power. Let's move on to something a bit less, that. This level's a bit of a reprieve. I changed the color of the bouncing bullets because I wanted the cyan bullets to be the electrical ones. and color was already being taken by the bounce bullets. This is your first introduction to such bullets, and also ice. Watch what happens when you get hit. Those little icicles? Yeah, that's your first introduction to them. More powerful ice attacks can slow you down for longer, or just straight up freeze you, which you should watch out for. I really like this song, especially this part. There's a glitch on full display. That stinger there, the white one, it'll change to a purple one in appearance. That glitch escaped me for so long. Ooh, mini-boss time. This guy is tricky, especially on hard mode. He's one of the bosses that actually changes on different difficulty modes. His health increases and his attack variety increases as well. I made this guy way too hard on hard. But I mean, it's hard, it's not false advertising, so I'm not complaining. I forgot about the random bullets, I was confused. I'm glad this battle version didn't come until later! Don't get hit by the beams on hard mode. They're insta-kill. Not on easy or normal. Okay. There we have it. And here we have our first platform level. Abandoned Factory. It's not much, but I think it's a suitable introduction to platforming mechanics. Hurring, the vending machine. It actually works this time. And lo and behold, we can buy soda. Lore, although I don't think anyone's gonna be reading that. This door, you can come back to it later, but not yet. Or at least hopefully you will. I have yet to implement. These are gonna be your first real platforming challenges. It's not really that bad. These cranes are a bit hard to get working, but I designed this section deliberately so that you have to know how the cranes work before you can pass. Perhaps I should make them a bit less obtuse. They only appear for this level, but I might re-implement their mechanics in other levels. Ooh, our first upgrade. One thing I want to do is make the upgrade semi-optional. Technically, you can quote-unquote sequence break, because you don't need all of the upgrades to pass. But for the purposes of this playthrough, I am going to get all of the upgrades, because they just help you out that much, and it's the way you're overall intended to play the game. That little combat zone is fairly easy. Some more enemy positioning. All very standard stuff. New enemy. This guy's a little tricky. New upgrade. Awkward place to put it, but it works. But yeah. Now with our new upgrades, we can jump up the chute, Brinstar style, dash across. Was my original intent, but it's kind of made redundant with the wall slide. Sorry about that. Had something in my throat. I like how it's phrased, the mode shotgun. I'm keeping it. It's kind of jank, but it's cool. This idea of switching between different weapons I like. And I think the pistol and the shotgun balance each other out quite well. Currently, there are only two of these. There's just pistol and shotgun, but in the update that's coming soon, I'll add a third mode. Oh yeah, this is also the version where you can dash through the goop. That'll make sense later. But first, let's talk about this mini-boss. Ay caramba. Good thing I didn't make those insta-kill. But yeah. If you stay your distance, he'll use the beam attack. If you get close, he will use a sword attack. He'll follow through with the first sword attack regardless, but if you stay close, he will follow it up with a 3-hit combo. And that will be bad for you, because the third hit will send you flying. And notice I tried to attack the head there. That's because the rest of the body is armored. And if you attack the head, it will give you an advantage. And also, if you don't attack the head, you'll have a little nasty surprise. What's that? It sounds like it's that thing. This one's bugged. I meant to make it so there was some, like, debris and rubble coming down from the roof, but I just implemented the noise. But yeah. That needs to be fixed as well. That's kind of weird, but whatever. Welcome to the Cyber Scuttler, the first platform boss. I don't know what possessed me to put chimp samples in this boss theme, but yes, I did. So far, there aren't too many differences on hard, mostly just between different phases of the boss fight. And a warm welcome to the fire mechanic as well. Warm welcome. Though you'll be well acquainted with it by Chapter 2. Anyway, the idea is you dash through the legs to get through, and for some reason, in this build, you take damage when you dash through them. I don't know why, but sometimes it happens. I've tried to make it so it doesn't do that. I think that should be fixed in the next update, which should come out hopefully by Christmas. I have a lot of other stuff I'm fixing, but I've sussed out the source of that problem. Anyway, let's just finish this guy off so that I can show you the other stuff. I'm ducking a lot in this boss fight because if you duck, then it prevents you from being moved by the ground shaking. There's a little tip for that. Alright, and here there is no option to go to the next level, so you're pretty much forced to go back to HQ, which I implemented deliberately so that people could actually see that there's new stuff, like new NPCs. You can go to the shop now, buy new weapons, lots of stuff. And these medals, the gold ones, are also used to buy weapons. So you can kind of buy them in whatever order you please, except these weapons here, starting with homing missile, are only purchasable after Chapter 2. Which I think is dope. Rad. Pretty cool, even. Freeze Ray, I must confess, is a little incomplete. That was one of the first weapons I coded for the game. But yeah, let's see what we got here. Honestly, the pea shooter is pretty good on its own, so there's not really much to say. I could show off some of the other weapons. Zap Sniper is pretty good. Or Volt Scrambler? Ooh, I love both of those. But let's show off Zap Sniper first. Another bug! Where these appear. I haven't figured that one out yet, but I will. These ships have different abilities and stats. This ship is cool. It's like a version of the shooter that you can play as. Vegetal form. I do like that. Duo is pretty essential for Chapter 2. Cartridges are for platform mode. It's not got the most bearing on gameplay, but it is there. You equip your weapons on this screen. And how it works is a little unique. You cycle through the weapon slot by pressing C and V by default, and the weapon slot comes into play when you have ships with multiple weapons, like Duo, for instance. That's not normal. It shouldn't have the question marks. Oh well. There are still some things I have to polish. You can also change the colors of your ship. Frankly, I've put so much effort into the content for these updates, I haven't really put much effort in, or the levels I should say, I haven't really taken much time to deal with the content. This lamp here you can change the color of. Thought that'd be a neat detail. Let's go downstairs. This guy from earlier, Let's talk to him. An IS Cola. Well, from the vending machine back there, I bought one, so yeah. I recorded those slurps myself. Yeah, for some reason, like, IS Cola is taboo on the RC HQ. Gee, I wonder why. But yeah, oh, by the way, I probably should have said this, but I will be spoiling some, like, a lot of the content in this game. But that's cool, I guess. Man, I'm surprised that well, I mean, I wrote that dialogue fairly recently, so of course I'm gonna like it, but yeah. One thing I like with this particular design is that they don't really show emotions with the face, so they just look stoic all the time, but they show emotions with, like, their dialogue, and I think that's a unique quirk for an alien race to have. Speaking of alien races, this guy has no dialogue sounds because I forgot to implement them. But I kind of like the idea of not him being able to be heard. Maybe he can talk telepathically or something. Yeah, he's just built different. Ah, yes, the drink system. But yeah, the drink system is just something to kind of give players a push if they need it to get past certain hard sections. Not so much a crutch as a, well, it is kind of a crutch, but it's a good crutch to have. I don't think it's a bad one. But yeah, there's a little something for everyone, I think. There's even milk, which works like it does in... I was obviously inspired by Minecraft for the milk, since it removes the effects. There are a few limitations with these drinks. You can only have one of them active at a time, and you can only hold one at a time. So I think that's alright enough. I plan for you to be unlocking more drinks to drink later on. And you'll notice, for being a bar, there aren't a lot of alcoholic beverages. I don't know why I chose that. I guess it's just because in the canon, Agent Red can't tolerate alcohol in the slightest. Like, one single drop of the, quote, house special, unquote, and he got conked out instantly. And here is... Endless mode. That's the random arcade mode. We'll go to that at some point, maybe. Let's go to enemy logs. But yeah, basically you just go through, you can read about enemies. I'm not gonna spoil them. You can read them yourself. I don't know how accurate the stat information is. Enemies have, like, strengths and weaknesses to them, so... that's where the weapons come into play partially. We'll use the Zest Cola here. I should add a sound to that. And here is where the path splits. You can choose to either go left or go right. I'll improve the controls for this a little bit. We can go to Horizon of Solaris, or we can go to Submerged Palace. The right path is the only one that's complete right now, unfortunately. I'm working on implementing the left path fully in the next update. It should be out by then. The left path is easier, but the right path is where we'll go this time. Alright. I absolutely love the introduction, just because of how you go through the dialogue and the music kicks in right when the title card plays out. I think it really plays into the mood very nicely. Really, I'm really proud of the choreography of this whole level. You'll notice there are 5 bosses in this level. And it's one of those levels where the music doesn't change to anything different for any of the bosses. Oh gosh, this guy is a nightmare on hard mode. I mean, he's a nightmare enough on any other difficulty, but hard mode? Ook. Makes me... Even I'll admit this guy's a bit unfair, because these bullets just go crazy, especially once the health starts whittling down. And with all the stuff, oof. But there are a few strategies and pieces of advice I could give. Like that, the bullets have a specific pattern to them, and you can exploit that. You can see Zap Sniper in action here. Basically, you hold down the fire button, it creates a crosshair, and it just... And that's what happens if you touch a beam in hard mode. Don't worry, they're not all instant kills, but if you're playing hard mode, good luck. But yeah, Zap Sniper creates a crosshair around each enemy on the screen. The rate at which it does so is improved as you level up, and it creates more projectiles. It's pretty decent for crowd control, or just keeping a boss still, if the boss is not immune to electricity already. Electricity also has an advantage in underwater levels like Submerged Palace, which there's only one of right now. Probably will only be one in the game. If you use them underwater, they will go to even more targets. Which I thought was a neat little touch. But yeah, as you can see, this stun ain't working out so much in, when it gets to the second phase. Ooh boy. I was not kidding when I said that Submerged Palace is a difficulty spike. But fortunately, the weapons and ships and drinks should be able to help you. And I just realized my drink effect expired. Wow. I should really make it so that you can replenish your drink effect if you restart a level. That's a bug. They should not be separating like that. I don't even know why it does that. Ooh. Electric weapons are really effective at stopping the monoliths. Because typically they'll have that rock shield that swirls around them, and it just makes it so you can't hit them whatsoever. But if you manage to... Whoa! Lag spike. If you could stun one... Yeah. But the key to defeating those is actually quite simple. Or ignoring them, I should say. If you don't shoot, they won't attack you. This guy, on the other hand, is pretty simple, too. Although he can take you off guard if you aren't paying attention. Surprisingly hard to hit because of his fast speed. When he charges, he's invincible, by the way. Figured I'd throw that out there. Alright, 3 out of 5. And we hit the first checkpoint soon. I should really be gathering focus. Or Gray's charge, I should say. Alright. Let's freeze this guy in place. I never realized these guys were so cheesable with this weapon, but I think it's good. After all, when your weapon is leveled up, it should feel powerful, so I think having powerful weapons is perfectly okay. Especially for some of the challenging bosses, you need to give players all the help they can get. The missiles that these bosses shoot have special interactions if you hit them with certain elemental weapons, but it's kind of hard to see. I like this boss a lot in particular because of how hectic the attacks get when the health gets whittled down. I think it's really neat. And yeah, you probably already saw it, but this ship's special is pretty crazy. Oh crap. I am going to die. Oh, beans and greens. I am beamed. I've already progressed through this boss's attacks way too much. And the boss chose to use missile drones. All of them. One hit from those and I am down for the count. Alright. Here it comes. The big reveal. This boss was actually this thing. So yeah, welcome to Pentaforce. Those 5 bosses were part of a bigger one. And it comes back for one last hurrah. Honestly, despite the fact that it's combined to be so much bigger, it's not as bad as when it was bigger, or when they were individual ones. Especially if you know which attack each one has, you can kind of exploit that. We still gotta be careful. You have to damage the 5 outer ones before you can hit the core. What happens if you use Zap Sniper? Absolutely nothing. Ah, that was a close one. I must be careful. And the more these you whittle down, the more sporadic it gets with its spinning. So you'll have more chances to hit it, but you'll also have to be careful not to let it get the jump on you. Imagine if I waited to take out the beam one and it just did a sweep across and I just died instantly. Alright. And then it's just dead. There we have it. Absolutely fried. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to answer them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. Let's do the level up rates improving one, because that's fun. It's always good to get. It's fun to get your weapons at max level early on. I tried to make the drinks usable without making them feel overpowered. I think that is good. Ah, we don't have the last medal. But do not fret. Alright, Magma Caves. One thing I'm not really keen on with the drinks is that they're not as usable in platform levels. I'll have some drinks that are more universal to both. But yeah, this is the quote-unquote fire level of the game. So far. Really, Chapter 2 levels kind of have a fire theming to them for the most part. But yeah. I like the concept of this planet because it has a ocean on the outside. Michael Jackson. But, oh, sorry, I said Michael Jackson because there's that sample from, I believe it was used in Sonic 3, I want to say, for like the boss theme. It's been a hot minute since I've played Sonic 3, if ever. I just know that it's Hideki Naganuma used the sample once or twice as well. And Michael Jackson actually did work for the Sonic 3 soundtrack, fun fact. But anyway, other than Michael Jackson, I like that this level... Oh. And there's Michael Jackson himself. But yeah, here's the first encounter of a character. This one will be a recurring boss. Also, his health bar's the wrong color, but that can't really be helped. But yeah, he just cycles through these attacks. They look innocuous, but if they land, they can combo pretty easily. So be careful. And in case you couldn't tell, he's supposed to be a mimic of you. Oh, he was supposed to say it was lackluster, but I accidentally skipped past that dialogue. I did not know you could skip past it that easily. But yeah, that was the rival. First encounter with him's not so bad. And now, we won't see him again. If you beat the rival once, you won't see him again. And if I had chosen to play LRRS instead, he would have appeared in that level. And then, you would not have seen him again. Until the second encounter. That system was inspired by Mega Man X8, actually. That's how it works with the boss fights against Vile. He is, in X3, he's a recurring mid-boss fight, I want to say? But he only appears at like the 3rd and 5th and 8th levels you play. Or he only occurs at certain levels, and when you play through those again, he doesn't appear, so... It depends. Something like that. Anyway, next level. Now, this one's a doozy. Magma Labs. I'm sorry for spoiling you on this in advance, but this level... Ooh, this level is my child. It definitely stands out among the, like, 2 platform levels that are in the game just because of its atmosphere and kind of the environmental story that it tells through its environmental storytelling. You can tell it's an environmental story because it's in the environment. Just making sure that no one snuck into my house. Anyway, let's continue. I would just let it speak for itself. But yeah, there's your first introduction to invisible enemies. The invisible enemies of this level... Oh! The Poltergeist. They do funny trolling like that. You can see them when they move because they shimmer against the backdrop. But when they're stationary, it's hard to pick them out. And yeah, that enemy back there was the ghoul. They slurch across the ground until they see you, then they attack. Then you shoot them, you bring them down until they get back up. And here's another new enemy. You don't want those goop balls to touch you. Oh crap. Oh, someone's playing Crab Game. Coincidentally, I'm playing Crab Game as well. Get it? Because, like, they look like crabs, and it's a game. Oh, I'm a comedic genius. But yeah, now this one's a doozy. Ha! You thought that was a health pack? It's an enemy. Very fun. Oh man. Love that jingle. Now I wonder if YouTube is going to screw up the aspect ratio. Probably not. But yeah. Now we can go through this way. And now we can go this way, except now it's dark. I can't see anything. How am I supposed to get through, game? You're not. You're supposed to go... Corruption levels at 20%? Oh no, I wonder what that could possibly mean. But yeah. Yep, YouTube's aspect ratio just shifted. Ah, that jump scare gets me every time. That's one of the only jump scares I put in this game. I tried to use jump scares very sparingly, but past me did sneak in a couple of other scary moments. But don't fret about it. Hold on. Anyway. Ah, beans and greens. Why did I make Little Red Rocket Ship into a game that you don't want to play in the dark? Well, anyway, this leads us to our next upgrade. A little light in the dark. Well, technically it's not a light, it just lets you see in the dark. See? No pun intended. Now you can see things in the dark. As long as you press shift, you'll be able to see. Although that's going to change in an update, you'll have to press down and shift. Because I mean and like to make things hard on the player. And yes. There we go. A real health kit. And now we are going. Now let's go back. Oh crap. There's a guy there. Don't! I didn't realize ghouls could get on the elevator. Now that is what I call emergent gameplay. Actually, probably not, but you know what I mean. But yeah, that jump scare earlier alluded to something pretty interesting. I definitely think it's worth checking out. But yeah, just go up the shaft like usual. And yeah, that background's not changing. I forgot to make it change back. Oh well. But yeah, now we can thwart this maze in the dark. Technically, if you memorized it, you wouldn't need this upgrade. And here is the boss. This monstrosity. The lovely, one and only Granfaloon. Technically not the one and only. He's heavily inspired by Legion from Castlevania, who is also called the Granfaloon in Symphony of the Night. The name was pretty much almost ripped straight from him, except I made it be spelled properly. But yeah, this boss fight is challenging. It can be a long haul if you're not used to the boss. I know how the boss works, but believe me, when I was playtesting, it was tricky. And this boss you actually have to see in the dark for, unless you want to get hit. And also to see the weak points. You'll notice now it's being damaged in different parts specifically. And that core is what we want to aim for. And like Legion from Symphony of the Night, once you expose that core, it'll start shooting lasers. Boy, I really plagiarized this guy, didn't I? Actually, hitting the core can prove to be a little difficult sometimes. And when you damage it enough, it'll just cover up again. Ain't that just the way? At least it's long enough to hear this song, which I think is pretty good for a boss name. I get all the sections but the one that houses the boss. There we go. A well-placed dash does away with him. If you ever dash through enemy bullets, yeah, that's how you reflect them. Alright. Got him. Let's go back to HQ, 'cause that was the last level on that route. Now let's go and go to Horizon. This level is fairly uneventful, especially since we've already beaten the rival. I just realized you can have little crosshairs if you switch from home or Zap Sniper to another weapon. Maybe I should patch that. I think it's a neat little interaction. Ultimately kinda useless, but I think it's nice. I'm really getting hit, aren't I? Oof. You might recognize some of these songs if you ever listened to any of my music before, because some of these end up getting used in the game. Hoo-wee. These little mini-boss gunships are tricky to take down, but if you do, you'll get nicely rewarded. Though they're not really intended to be taken down, they're more or less intended to be ignored. This section's not as bad as I made it out to be. I'm just kinda bad sometimes. The rival fight would be right here normally, but since we already beat him, he won't appear. Yo, an okay hand. Oh, look at that. It's 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Looky at that, gamers and gents. Well, that's just the way. Staying up all night playing LRRS, just as it was meant to be. Well, now they've shown you those little nooks and crannies, there's not much to show you except level packs. I can't show you those right now because I don't have any to show, and plus I'm overhauling the system for the next update, but basically it's custom ship levels. And alright, now we get to endless mode. And alright, here comes the payoff. 1,376 seconds. That is baller. I made it so that it counts the amount of seconds that have passed since you last talked to her if you ignore her. I already said all this. If you want to read the dialogue, play the game, or just pause the video. Oh, that is not intended. That looks hideous. Okay. New change in plans. Time to quit the game. For now. I will restart it, because I don't want it to look hideous. Like I said, the red background thing, I didn't think that through. I mean, nothing wrong with red backgrounds, it's just it doesn't match my artistic intent. Trying to make sure that the video syncs up properly. Alright, that should do it. And you got to hear my little logo jingle again. I think that's pretty neat. That came around in last year, actually, when I was doing jam games. Alright, but yeah, endless mode. It's like an arcade mode. This track was not done by me. Most of the tracks in the game were, this one was not. This was done by the good old lad, Delta, for short. His online username is Delta Mudkip, actually, and he is quite the Famitracker extraordinaire, I should say. Very good at making 8-bit stuff, I should say, is what I mean. Using the software Famitracker, I've used it myself. I'm not too bad at it either, but he's way better. Well, I don't know. He's just really darn good. He does commissions. So if you ever need any retro tracks done or remixes, go find him on Fiverr. He's one of the only Fiverr people who's worth your time. No offense, Fiverr people. It's just that Fiverr's that kind of site that gets memed on all the time because of all those videos on YouTube. That's like, we got work from Fiverr, and it looked like Peter Griffin T-posing or something like that. But there are a lot of good people on Fiverr, actually. A lot of good talent. But as with any site like that, you kind of have to sift through stuff. And you're not entirely sure of what you're going to get until you're done with it. One feature I wanted to implement in this game was a custom difficulty mode. I thought of it first when I was thinking of accessibility features, people maybe making the game easier or harder for themselves based on their own personal preferences. And I thought that'd be fun to have, as an accessibility feature and just a feature in general. Making it so you can granularly control some of the difficulty things in the game. But that's for later. There's a lot left to focus on here. But yeah. This has been a good stream so far, I think. I've tried to comprehensively show a lot of stuff in this game. Endless mode on hard mode kind of stresses me out because the beams are insta-kill. One touch from those beams and it ends the run. The levels in endless mode borrow a lot of elements from the previous ones. And kind of recycle them. This part is hectic because of all the enemies. These turrets are particularly weak to most anything that gives status effects because of their armor plates. A lot of these elemental attacks will ignore armor, as elemental attacks in games tend to do. There are 4 different types of weapons in this game: plasma, fire, ice, and electricity. And as you saw, you and enemies can both use these attacks. And they do different things. Plasma is your standard go-to, fire leaves burning, ice freezes and slows down, and electricity stuns, or has a chance to stun. It's RNG based. Which naturally can lead to it being pretty busted. Yep, I have a lot of interesting surprises waiting in store for you all once I release the update. It's not going to be like a major chapter update. It's going to be I'm calling it like chapter 2.5 because it has lots of content in it. It doesn't add any new chapters technically, but it does have a lot of new content. Tier 3. Honestly, a lot of these early endless levels are going to get crazy difficult. Or just a lot of these endless levels in general are going to get crazy difficult. That's just the way. One thing to note is your power level resets every time you complete a tier. Is it fair? I have no idea. But yeah. Ooh, that was painful. But yeah, one thing you'll notice is how the bullets get fired relatively quickly. That's a hard mode quirk. Normally they wouldn't be so quick. Here's some more turrets. These aren't actually in chapters 1 or 2 at the moment, so these are kind of exclusive to Endless for now. I have plans to implement them later, but for now, they are not going to be in... For now, they're not in any of the levels. Just Endless. But I'll probably use them, because they are pretty cool. Ice and fire turrets. And those factory blocks in the tile set make a return as actual, like, pseudo-asteroid elements. Genius. Well, I shouldn't toot my own horn too much. Just enough. And these regular turrets can make an appearance too. About time for me to go to bed soon. The enemies in this are semi-random. They're not 100% random, but they're somewhat random. Their layouts, the number of them. but nothing too sophisticated. It's mostly preset pools. Oof. That is a handicap. I'm gonna be limited to mostly using Zap Sniper here. And ugh, fighting against the worst enemies in the game. I really don't want to die because I really want to show you guys Tier 4. Ook. This section's gonna be a real pain in the beaner greener. Oof, we died. I guess that's fair. I don't have to show you everything, but I did want to show you lots of it. But yeah, if you think you can beat my score, then you probably can, cause yeah. Plus, you can play on easy mode. It doesn't handicap you or do anything like that if you're playing on easy. Unlike some people, I don't shame you for playing on easier difficulties. Although I still encourage healthy challenge, because ultimately the game is meant to be challenging. And I think I fit the bill. So yeah, if you have any words now, speak now or forever hold your peas. Or at least hold them for a while. I could just talk about the game a bit and just vibe for a few minutes before I quit. But yeah, I'd love to answer any questions or things. But in the meantime, I'll just say a few things. Like, I plan to expand the HQ a lot more. For now, it's just this top and bottom section, but there will be doors that lead to other sections. I want there to be a lot to do in the HQ. I want the HQ to feel like a proper hub area. It's not always something I focused on at first when developing this game, but I've come to realize having a good hub area is crucial. For just making the player feel nice and cozy. And just feel good, you know? And I think that having NPCs to interact with and things to see helps give the game a real sense of identity. Which every game needs to have. Alright, now let's see if we have... If YouTube, the Google overlords have figured out what my game is. I don't know. For some reason, downsizing the game with a hotkey really lags the game. Or, no it doesn't, there we go. And I'll resize that again. It just does that because of how it works. Hold up. Imagine if I were like a multi-million, or like a popular streamer. Not a multi-million view streamer, because I realized that would be very... that'd be a lot. Imagine like millions of people watching a stream live. That'd be insane. Little too insane for me. I don't even think PewDiePie could achieve numbers that much. But yeah, stay tuned for more content. Be sure to check out the game on Steam or itch if you're interested. I would appreciate it. It is a couple of bucks, so if you want to give up a McDonald's hamburger, then you could pay for this. If you can't, if you don't want to pay that much, then that's okay. I could just send you a copy. I could send you a key. And I think that'll be all. So yeah, peace.